So last night, the Senate failed to pass very important voting rights legislation. And this comes at a time when voting rights are under attack. First of all, you had the Supreme Court gut Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act, thereby making it easier for jurisdictions that have a long history of discriminating against black people, black voters in particular. It makes it easier for these jurisdictions to pass laws designed to make it more difficult for black people to vote. And because of that, you've had jurisdictions all around the country passing laws to suppress the black vote. Now, I often hear people say, well, our votes don't matter. You hear a lot of these so-called woke people saying this. If our votes didn't matter, they wouldn't have gone to the Supreme Court to gut our Voting Rights Act. If our voting did not matter, if voting had no impact whatsoever, these Republicans would not be fighting tooth and nail to prevent voting rights legislation from being passed. If our voting rights didn't matter, you wouldn't have these reactionary states around the country passing laws to make it more difficult for black people to vote. Our votes matter. And we need to realize the urgency of this moment. We need to realize that this is very important. It's just as important as issues of police brutality and other important issues, because all of our rights flow from our right to vote. If you don't have the right to vote, democracy itself is in peril. And that's what we face now. We face a situation where our right to vote is in peril. And when we can't vote, it makes it difficult for us to affect policy changes that impact our lives. We need to realize the urgency of this moment. It is time for business as usual in this country to end. It is time for us to raise hell and, turn up the pressure on these elected officials by engaging in protests around this country, by engaging in boycotts around this country to hit these people where it hurts, their pockets. It's time for civil disobedience, just like it was time for civil disobedience during the civil rights era, where people were locked up fighting for freedom, where people faced the police dogs and faced arrests and all that kind of stuff to further the rights of all people in this country, particularly African Americans. Now is the time for us to raise all kinds of hell. No justice, no peace.